Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Croixleur Sigma. You thought this video wasn't going up today? I lied. And by I lied, I mean I really don't want to have to play this game tomorrow while I'm waiting for the Gundam Breaker 3 to show up. So, we're gonna have to take a look at this anyway. The localization isn't great. That's a start. This is made by Playism Games. Well, it wasn't made by Playism, but it was localized by them. And it's $10 and you'll get it on PlayStation 4 if you buy it too. Or was it 15? Shit, I don't remember. But anyway, we'll just go have a quick look around. Now, the options menu in this game, it doesn't look too bad at first glance, but after you've played the game, half the options that are here are absolutely infuriating. For example, the button configuration. This is the default configuration. If you've ever played a hack and slasher on Vita, this makes no sense. Like, why is the basic attack on circle? When has the basic attack of a beat 'em up ever been on the circle button? I don't even know. But thankfully, we're going to just stick with my custom control scheme here, which is square, X, circle, triangle. Yeah, you can see it right here. Why the hell am I saying it out loud? This one is a little weird though. Auto special attack button. Boy, that's going to be a fun one. You've also got the touchscreen input area, which is a really weird option that, to be fair, is actually alright. And I mean, I actually kind of like the idea of it. You got autosave, network, the sound volumes. Special assist. Set the weather automatically chooses a usable attack whenever you use a special attack. Which is strange because you already have that in the form of the triangle button. At least I think you do. And you've got control assistance, which means you automatically move towards nearby enemies and you literally just have to mash square, which is kind of ridiculous. And you've got normal and easy difficulty, but we'll just leave it on normal because I really cannot be bothered to put it down to easy. You've got camera stick options, obviously, and camera speed, and camera reset. The camera in this game is god-awful, so to have this camera reset option when it would really be more convenient just to have target closest be on constantly, just be constantly pressing L, that would be the best thing, and it just does not work. Also, directional buttons move the camera for some reason, or move the character, but trust me, playing this game with the directional buttons would be extremely painful. Now, I've got rankings for all the different modes, but God almighty, I can't imagine trying to get to the top of these. The Platinum Trophy requires you get to the top of all of them, so good luck. You've got the collection, which shows you some of the story stuff, and this is basically where you'll be getting most of your story from, because the two story modes that I've played through are two, like, I'd expect them to be fan service side stories in comparison to, like, what the main story of this bloody world is, because I have no idea. Like, they imply there's this big thing going on with all these magical soldiers and a school of magic and something like that, and the story mode doesn't convey that at all, at least the two that I played. I don't even know. If we go to records, we can see how long I've been playing for, which is an hour and 30 minutes-ish, and I really cannot be bothered to play it anymore, so, you know, there you go. You've also got a couple of other things here, nothing too big to worry about. Now, if we go to your equipment, this is where the majority of the game's progression comes into play. So, you've got your characters, and I've only got 2 out of 4 at the moment, but they have a tiny difference between them. Like, the blue-haired girl is slower for some reason. She's supposed to be slower. She doesn't feel that much slower, but apparently she's slower. So here's how the accessory system works. You start out with one accessory slot, and you get these coins in the bottom right throughout the game, in like the one example of something they actually did right in this game. That and the animations there, they're actually, you know, they're cute. They're cute, but they're a pain in the ass. But anyway. So the idea is, if we pick one of these accessories, and if we press square to toggle the explanation, as you can see, if we buy one of these, so for, we'll say, the party hat. If we buy the party hat, we can now get a third accessory on ourselves. So not only do we look utterly ridiculous, we actually have a bunch of abilities equipped. So the more of these you buy, the more of these you can equip at once. So it's probably a good idea to go and buy the cheapest stuff possible right off the bat. Because if you do that, that means you get plenty of accessory slots. Except unfortunately I've gone and run out of gold coins to spend because this game is really quite stingy with the gold coins. It's the what's the word I'm looking for? It's a massive pain in the ass. That's basically what it is. So yeah, you've got a bunch of different accessories you can equip, and you have to remember to equip it to every character you've got, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, I think I'll just put headphones on her as well, because why not? It doesn't really matter what I do. So, because I'm not going to be playing this again. That's just the long and the short of it. Oh, 51.50. Why is that all the way down there? Can we sort these by just overall price, please? Christ. But anyway, those are the accessories. Now, the tutorial says to view the in-game controls. That's a mistranslation. Oh. Tutorial, right, not... So, I went to the wrong thing. I didn't mean to go to that. So, if we go to start game, that's what I mean. They've got a blade training mode down here. And it's got a training mode there, but it also tells you everything you need to know about the game here. Which is not only weird, because you've got the tutorial to do that for you, but it spoils every type of enemy there is in the game. I'm not even kidding, you see all of these enemies in one run of the story mode anyway, which takes about half an hour, but at the same time, you see them all here anyway, so what's the freaking point? I'm not even going to claim to know what's going on there, but anyway. So you've got different modes to work with here. You've got the score attack and the survival modes, which are obvious. The challenge mode has specific things for you to do, so... yeah, defeat all the surrounding monsters before time runs out. They also seem to be mainly time attacks, which is kind of strange. You've also got extra modes that are unlocked at the end of the game. Like, there's extra mode, obviously, which is just a really hard mode, so I don't know why they called it extra mode. There's also the dungeon mode, which makes you go through 50 floors, which is infuriating. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the story mode, because there's some story dialogue and stuff. You can go to the equipment screen here, and Jesus Christ, those glasses look silly. Anyway, whoops. So yeah, some weapons are shared across stories, and there's some of the stories have weapon breakage and some don't, but anyway. No, this is not the screen I'm meant to be on. If I go through here, there we go, now I can pick the weapons. So we can pick different weapons, and the different weapons all have different special abilities. However, I can't tell if... it's kind of hard to tell with all these weapons, because there's no way to actively choose which one of these is equipped, and I don't know if they're actually making a difference to my actual attack strength. I guess it's just something to do with their own special abilities, but anyway. We'll just pick 4 random ones, because it's not like it matters. And away we go. Well, it does matter, admittedly, but then again, there is parts of it that don't matter. I'm going to shut up and listen. Let this audio clip go for a little while now.
。 Alright,
that's enough of that. But anyway, so you have these voice clips. You just have this narration over the text, and the story text itself is alright. It was a bit weird in the menus, because they just completely mistranslated what the point of the menus were meant to be. But at the same time, the story dialogue's okay. It's just, as I said before, it's like weirdly fan servicey. It's like this whole stuff is meant to be for another game. Like these character designs, this plot. It feels like it was meant for another game, and then this is just like the side stories that happen. It's weird. There's like no... The story just keeps going and going and going for some reason. But anyway, here we go. Welcome to Croixleur Sigma. You want to know what the point of this game is? These circular arenas contain enemies. Go up to the enemies, press the square button on them to beat them up. Hold the R button, or well, R button in my setup, but the default button is L. But hold the R button and press the face button to do a special attack. Hold R and L together, or press them together to do a mana burst, which will get some of the enemies away from you. Do these things successfully, and you will unlock the portal to the next floor. Rinse and repeat. My god, this gets boring so fast you have no idea. And I'm someone who usually likes hack and slash games. It's weirdly repetitive. Like, they could have done so much more to this game to make it a lot more entertaining. Because, as I said before, all the enemy types, you've seen a majority of the amount of the enemies that you're going to be going up against already. there are these little guys on the ground. What do? They try and walk up to you and hit you in the face. That makes sense. The wizard folks, they have magical staves. Their only form of attack is to shock the floor behind you with lightning from a long distance. So, you can be getting hit by one of these wizard things from across the map, and you won't even notice they're there until they've hit you, because the game is so bright and flashy that it's really hard to notice the tiny little speck of electricity at your feet telling you you're about to get struck by a bolt of lightning up your ass crack. There are also flying enemies called bats. You do have a jump button in this game, but unfortunately it's extremely unwieldy once you're trying to actually swing at something, because the game's depth perception against these bats is kind of annoying. Because you end up just having problems trying to get the bloody bats to die. And those are the three main types of enemies that you fight in this game. Those three enemies over and over and over again. The only variation to them is that you end up fighting the... what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, sorry. You end up fighting different colored ones that have more health and possibly attack faster. That's basically it. Like, they eventually start getting so much health, they end up taking, like, 3 series of attacks to get down. Because you've only got three special attacks. That's all you have. You've got nothing else to work with. Not 3 special attacks. You've only got 3 main attacks. So you can only hit the square button 3 times before you have to dodge, dash, whatever, in order to start another combo without getting slowed down. Because this game's got this really weird idea, well, not this really weird idea, but it's got a huge fixation on the idea of you having to stay on the move absolutely constantly. Because again, if you don't stay on the move, you will either get hit by something like a lightning bolt, or you'll just slow down and stop entirely. You do have a limit on how many dashes you can do in one go, but it's based on your MP bar. Watch how fast your mana regenerates when you don't do anything mana related. It's retardedly fast. Special attacks also take MP too, but since you can't chain them, it's kind of a waste of time. And it's also of note that you end up not using special attacks very much, because not only do they not do much more damage than your typical attack combo, but you end up exposing yourself to more attacks because you can't chain out of a special attack as well as you can a normal attack. So you end up not using them. And in this story mode, your weapons actually lose durability. So it's like, you end up just like losing weapons constantly. So there's no point even trying to find a good set of weapons that work well with each other, because they just break. So it just seems weird. Also, it doesn't seem to like permanently take the weapon away from me. Like I have to what's the word? Like I just have to be constantly scavenging new weapons or something. I don't know what the drill is, but it just doesn't work. Also of note, this camera. Now, this is the default camera angle, which is a real pain in the ass because you can barely see anything. If you press the L button constantly, you can keep an eye on shit. But you will eventually get like stuck in a corner where you'll either have to mana burst to make everything fly as far away as possible, which is really annoying because if you're not stock still and not being attacked, it just won't work. It's really infuriating. I don't understand why the mana burst doesn't work unless you're standing stock still. It really seems like something that you have to pull out in an emergency. And if you're being attacked constantly, you're going to be on the move, and you can't use the mana burst for what it was intentioned for. So, yeah, that's infuriating too. But anyway, back to the camera. So you can move the camera, thank God. You can move it out. And this is better, slightly, but not only does it make the things on the ground harder to see, things like lightning and stuff like that, it also makes it really hard to know when you have to jump for an enemy. Like when one of those silly bats comes along, you just end up overshooting its position over and over again because the camera's so high up. I really do feel like a more active camera mode would work in the game's much more positive regard. Didn't mean to do that. I do that trying to skip the story. But anyway, this is one of the bigger bosses. These guys get repeated over and over again because of course they do, right? Then again, I have been playing the same story mode over and over again. This is my strategy for these guys. They have massive attacks that cover half the fucking arena, and they're a massive pain to fight regularly. So just use all your massive super attacks on these bosses, and they will go down so fast. They will also drop healing bandages and stuff like that. And yeah, you collect coins, and not only does it give you like, it does give you, what's the word I'm looking for? It does give you like your chain down there, but, you know, it's not that interesting mechanic, honestly. I'll give them credit, though. Collecting all the coins is satisfying as shit. Like, despite the fact that they've picked the absolutely right sound effect for this. The right sound effect and the right just way the coins are spread out and just, like, spread everywhere for you to go and get. They've got the coins absolutely right, and that is stupid satisfying. And Dynasty Warriors could learn a thing or two from it. But that's like the only thing it could learn a bit from. God, I hate the camera. I hate the control. I hate the game's combat system just because it's so lightweight. Because again, like, one of the accessories in the game is literally adding a 4th attack to your attack string. Like, if you feel the need to have an accessory that does that, you've probably got a bad combat system. And you should really think about doing something else with it. Also of note is that the game's got a level up system. See, I just leveled up. I've leveled up 15 times. And it's made no difference whatsoever. You don't earn any new moves. Your level resets at the beginning of every time anyway. And when you level up, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. Like, does it give you a little bit of health back? Like, I don't know what it does. I really don't. It's just... It seems there for the sake of being there. I don't know why. Also of note, there's actually friendly fire. Like, you can't damage your opponent, but if you get... Not your opponent, sorry. You can't damage any AI ally that you've got along with you. I'll just hold square to skip this. You can't damage the AI partner that you've got along with you, but, and this is a big but, you will get stunned by their attacks. So if you're in the middle of trying to attack something and they attack you, well, good news, you're not attacking that thing anymore. So that's pretty much this entire game in a nutshell. It's got potential. Like, the guys who were crafting this clearly knew what they were doing when they were making things like the animations and the effects. The game looks pretty damn cool, I'll give it that. Its visual presentation is great. It runs really well, and it just looks fantastic, just in general. But these gameplay systems just make no sense. Like, leveling up, no point to it. Camera, terrible, can't see shit half the time. Dodging all the time, when you've got so much MP, it's not like it matters anyway. Special attacks, really weak for some reason. No real point in using them that often. Mana burst. Decidedly not workable at really random times. Main attack string, really repetitive after a while. The weapon system is just weird. And just the overall combat has so few enemies and so little variety that I'm just bored out of my mind. It's not like Dynasty Warriors where you can have multiple different weapons. They all have, like, extremely different attack patterns. And all sorts of different characters with different abilities. No, it's just... These characters just seem to be the same. I mean, like, the other two might be different, but I think this Sarah chick that I'm fighting with is the same sort of character. And these special attacks and all that are just... They're the same across characters. Like, there are two character pairs, and they all share them. And they all share the weapons. So it's like... What else could they do with what we've seen so far to increase the variety? Like, there's probably not that much difference between these different characters. So the game's got basically next to no variety because this is literally it. Like the other story mode that I played gave you like the options to go to different like levels. And I imagine there is like some sort of trophy which is like go exploring every segment of X mode. I can't remember if it was the dungeon mode or the story mode or whatever. It was like Bloody Palace from Devil May Cry 3, but shit, like... Well, then again, Devil May Cry 3 is the shit, and this is just shit, but... They came so close. They knew what they were doing in the visual design, and the controls are mostly solid. It just... Again, half these systems make no sense. Just so close and yet so far. And seriously, this lightning is just infuriating. This lightning attack it feels like the cheapest thing of all, especially when it comes to the ones that can hit you from across the bloody field. It just feels so cheap to be hit by something from something that's not even next to you. Or not even remotely close to you at points for that matter. And it really is just this, over and over again. It's just... I know I'm harping on the fact that there's so few enemies and they spoiled them all right at the very beginning, but... It's just mind-boggling to me, personally. Who thought of that? Who came up with the idea of spoiling the enemies that quickly and at least not letting me figure them out for myself and have a little bit more fun with them? I don't know. I'm just... Look at all this fucking lightning. Just, they almost had something great here. But just these systems are just... My opinion of beat-em-up games has always been... They're all very repetitive. So the game lives or dies by what content there is to do and how it's structured around what there is to... God damn it. How it's structured around the actual combat. And while the combat itself is somewhat satisfying, if not a bit annoying with all those things I've already mentioned, the other modes of this game, which is literally just a score attack mode, a survival mode, and 2 extra modes, which are just like the same thing over and over again with no real variety to them, is just feels like doing the same thing over and 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 over again. And I mean, this game's got plenty of content if you can stomach doing the same, fighting the same 7 enemies in the same 4 arenas hundreds upon hundreds of times. At least Dynasty Warriors had a ton of different maps and all the officers were different and the story mode objectives always tried to give you something interesting to beat up or try and fight against. At least they tried. This is just the same shit. I'm about to come up to a boss fight. Level 20 of this mode has a boss fight. And once that happens, I'm going to stop the video because it's already been 25 minutes. 25 minutes of just me beating the same crap out of the same 7 enemies. The equipment system could have worked. The leveling up system could have been put to some good use. The game's combat itself is really satisfying. There's just a bunch of shit that feels like it's trying to dick you over. What content's actually here is so repetitive, it's almost mind-boggling. Ow. See, I can't even see the enemy that's trying to put stuff under me. It seems like he's way too far away for that to be fair. The game's camera is terrible by default. The game's control scheme isn't that great by default. It's just not that entertaining of a beat 'em up. It fails in so many ways. But anyway, I'll do you all a favor and I'll actually let you watch this one, but trust me, I'll probably end up dying. It almost got there, and if you can stomach like, extremely repetitive beat-em-ups for budget prices. You might get a good thing out of this one, but there are so many other beat-em-ups. 2D and 3D on the Vita that you can go play. Like, Foul Play came out last week, and that game is infinitely better than this. I do like being able to encourage enemies to hit each other. That's a nice little touch. And also, the game has this tendency to get you into stun locks, where... Oh, also, I love how mana bursts actually work on the big guys. That's kind of hilarious. But yeah, if you can stomach the game being so goddamn repetitive, you might get some enjoyment out of it. But again, when Foul Play came out last week, and that's so much better than this, and when we've got the absolutely fantastic brawlers already of Dynasty Warriors 8, which is absolutely great, when we've got Samurai Warriors 4 Empires coming up in the next few weeks, when we've got Dynasty Warriors 8, which is, you know, brilliant, when we've got Dragon's Crown, which can go on forever and is absolutely brilliant by itself, it's just... This game just doesn't stack up to anything we've already got, let alone what else we're getting this month. We're getting a new Senran Kagura in 2 weeks. We're getting Gundam Breaker 3 tomorrow. This game just doesn't stack up. I'm sorry, it really doesn't. Not even close. This has been Blue Maxima. I really don't recommend this game, and I'll see you all next time.